Those of you who follow me know that I'm using iPad since the first time they were announced back in 2010. I was doing my PhD at that time, and to be frank, the iPad first generation wasn't much of use for me. Don't get me wrong, I was amazed by the technology and I loved those apps showing me the names of the stars in the night sky. Also, I really enjoyed playing a lot of iOS games back then. However, it wasn't much of use for my studies. Yes, I had some scientific papers on there for reading and simple annotation, but this was about it. Using my PC was always a more productive way to get things done. Since then I bought several iPad generations and also tried different styluses to take handwritten notes. However, the delay while writing was tedious, so this was never an option for me to ditch my paper notebook for a tablet. This suddenly changed though, when I got my hands on an iPad Pro 2017 and an Apple Pencil 1 for the first time. This video is brought to you by the Paperless Movement Inner Circle members, a closed community where we discuss everything about living a paperless life. My Inner Circle members get access to the discount section on my website, and as you are interested to get an iPad, you might want to know that I have an exclusive 20% discount for any paper-like screen protector ready to be redeemed by my members. If you are one of my Inner Circle members already, then thank you very much for your consistent support, which allows me to make videos like this one and keep my website 100% ad-free. So, right after I bought my first iPad Pro in 2017, I converted immediately, as I was just waiting for this technology to evolve to the performance and quality Apple finally delivered back then. I really loved my new device and all the things that I can do with it. Also, there were so many new apps only available on iPads that it was the perfect time to go paperless with a tablet. I actually shared a lot of my experiences here on YouTube and in my ebook Paperless Note-Taking Like a Pro. In order to stay up to date, I also got the new iPad Pro 2018, a 12.9-inch screen size again, as I always thought this is the one I really want to use. It is a really great display size, and if you want to replace your laptop with it, I would recommend getting this size. Why you might want to get a smaller size, I will explain you a bit later in this video. The iPad Pro product line has the biggest displays anyway, so they have a 12.9 and an 11-inch size. And while the iPad Air, the normal iPad and the iPad Mini 5 all have Touch ID, the iPad Pro uses Face ID to unlock your device. This gives it the best form factor amongst these different iPad types. Furthermore, only the iPad Pro has a 4K camera built in. However, do you really need it? I never use my iPad's camera. I usually use my iPhone for this. And if I need to capture pictures quickly during presentations from some slides, then the camera quality doesn't really matter to me as long I can read the content I captured. Also, the iPad Pro is the only one that offers Apple Pencil 2 support. And yes, it is much more convenient to place the Apple Pencil on top of your iPad for charging. And yes, the Apple Pencil 2 has a double tap feature to control some apps with it. But do you need it? I personally never use the double tap feature as it doesn't feel very intuitive to me. And attaching the Apple Pencil via magnets onto the iPad is not very stable either. It falls off either by carrying around or having it in my backpack. I actually bought a Sugu case to make things more stable and made a video about it if you want to check this out, what case you should get for your iPad. Comparing the Apple Pencil 1 and 2 performance-wise, there's really no difference between them. You don't feel any difference. Really, they just work the same. I even prefer holding the Apple Pencil 1 in my hand as it feels more balanced, but this is my very personal opinion. However, my point here is, do you really need an iPad Pro? What do you want to achieve with it? Is it really the screen size? Do you want to make video editing or play performance-hungry 3D games? Especially if you want to go for the smaller 11-inch iPad Pro, then you really should consider getting an iPad Air instead. And looking at the screen size, the iPad Air is just 0.5-inch smaller than the iPad Pro 11-inch. The normal iPad starts with 32GB storage, whereas the iPad Air and Pro starting at 64GB. However, if you are like me and everything is stored in the cloud, then there is no problem having 32GB storage. The word Air in iPad Air suggests that it is so much lighter than other iPads. However, it is just 20 grams lighter than a normal iPad and 1.5mm thinner. So looking at those stats, it is really worth considering to get a normal iPad for $329 compared to $799 for an iPad Pro 11-inch. However, looking at the performance, I would go for the iPad Air and spend those additional $150. The iPad Air and the iPad mini 5 have the A12 Bionic chip, whereas the normal iPad has only an A10. This means getting an iPad with an A12 processor will make it much more future-proof, and the overall experience is much smoother on the current iPad OS. Talking about the iPad mini 5, this is actually my secret favorite. I bought it just to review it for you guys out there, but I realized soon that I use it much more frequently than I use my iPad Pro 12.9. Getting a MacBook Pro made using the iPad Pro nearly redundant to me. Don't get me wrong, I love my iPad Pro and Apple Pencil and I use it for drawing and drafting and I enjoy the experience. But note-taking during meetings, I prefer to use my iPad mini, especially being at a conference. It allows me to do everything I would do with an iPad Pro in these events, such as taking notes, capturing and annotating pictures of slides and surfing the internet for some information I need, like the agenda or the LinkedIn profiles. But once it's time for networking, I simply put my iPad mini into my pants pocket. This is not possible with another iPad. This makes me so much more flexible during networking events. I hated carrying around a laptop or even my iPad Pro 12.9 inch. You always need to find a space where you can put it down to eat something, and as soon you get some goodies on those events, you are having a hard time even shaking hands. Those of you visiting such events know exactly what I'm talking about. If so, let me know in the comments below. I also upgraded my iPad mini 5 with some accessories to make it the perfect mobile conferencing device. I showed you this in another video already, where I explain in much more detail what I use and why I actually don't use the Apple Pencil 1 with it, but the add on it Note. The iPad mini has no smart connector for smart keyboards though, which makes sense as it is too small for a full-sized keyboard. However, I like using the iPadOS split keyboard feature or using my stylus with the swipe keyboard. But mainly I'm using note-taking apps that convert my handwriting to text, so there's not much need for me to use a keyboard. If you still prefer having a hardware keyboard to write with, then you should have a look at another video I made about this foldable keyboard here. If you compare the iPad mini 5 to the iPad Air, the only difference is the display size. The chipset, the storage, camera, display quality and even the battery life is exactly the same. I mean it is the same. So, to sum things up, which iPad should you get? If money doesn't matter to you and you want to use the iPad along with a laptop, then I would suggest going for the iPad Pro 11 inch. If it should replace your laptop, go for the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. If performance and the Apple Pencil 2 support is not as important for you and you just want to take some notes, surf the web and watch some movies, I would recommend to go for the iPad Air. Or if you're looking for the most mobile version of it, the iPad mini 5. If you have a very tight budget, then go for the normal iPad. This one is even cheaper than many Android tablets out there, and you can use the Apple Pencil with it, which is still the best stylus you can get on the market for drawing and handwriting. So I hope this video helps you to get the iPad that is right for you. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I will catch you up next time or in the inner circle.